Good morning. We're going to go for a little more casual, I guess you could say, approach today. A little more conversational. After that confiscation yesterday, we might have some misunderstandings. So let's make sure we get things clear. First of all, I need to let you know I am not now, nor have I ever been, a member of an organized labor organization. Not because I didn't want to be, but because for some reason somebody else had already adjudged I was not allowed. I'm not exactly sure what the considerations of potential conflict of interest were in refusing to allow somebody that did meaningful work and was dedicated to a form of collective bargaining or a form of organizing with other workers and employees in order for us to be able to claim our economic and political rights. I don't know what the justification was for excluding me from possibility to be a member of such an organization. But my entire professional life, I have been prevented from being allowed to be a member of organized labor. Even when I worked for a labor union, I worked for a union for a while. Our job was supposed to be to organize in home childcare workers. It was the beginning of the campaign. We were supposed to be moving forward in this campaign to organize childcare workers because there had been a successful campaign to organize in home healthcare workers. This was at a time when a universal healthcare bill had not been completely eliminated from consideration, at least during that time frame. Now, I've explained and discussed elsewhere my problems with transportation, which is ironic because a good deal of what my father did in service of his country was directly connected to transportation, not just within the United States, but globally. And yet, here I am trying to work for a labor union where I need to use transportation to get to and from my job. And it didn't work out. When the call came for support in the field, everybody was conveniently unavailable. It's been that way for going on 26, 27 years. I make do the best I can, but it can have a problem on morale. So when somebody else tries to assert their command, it can be a problem. This is one of the reasons why, when I said I wanted to be a pipe inspector, one of the things I thought was important was to at least learn how to weld. If you're going to be, as they say, a regulator, if you're going to be involved with a service or you're going to be involved with something that impacts people's lives, you should understand what the people who provide the services have to go through. Having a form of leadership over people you have absolutely no practical experience with and no understanding of what they confront on a daily basis is a very potentially disadvantaged position to be in, especially if somebody tries to challenge their way of life and you have to understand how to make a do with the resources you have available. Calling the wrong shot because you do not understand the context can be a fatal decision. I've already learned that. See, nobody taught me about high finance because nobody considered me to be qualified. Just like organized labor. Nobody taught me about how to handle reaching out to somebody that already had a contractual commitment to an organized labor organization with a proposal for an alternative organizing methodology. To find that he was distributing it to other people in his network without letting you. And then trying to do what with it? Almost 5 years later. It's unfortunate too because we're talking interstate. So why don't we get to the matter of hand? Let's see how somebody else might have addressed these matters. Where did we leave off yesterday? While the factors of command and control play a large part in the winning of battles, the greatest single factor making for success is the spirit of the warrior. The best way to achieve a high morale in wartime is by success in battle. The raw material with which the general has to deal is men. It is essential to understand that battles are won primarily in the hearts of men. An army is not merely a collection of individuals with so many tanks and guns. And its strength is not just the total of all these added together. The real strength of an army is, and must be, far greater than the sum of its parts. That extra strength is provided by morale, by fighting spirit, by mutual confidence between the leaders and the led, and especially between field leaders and high command, and by many other intangible spiritual qualities. Discipline and comradeship play a large part. Why does the soldier leave the protection of his trench or hole in the ground and go forward in the face of shot and shell? It is because of the leader who is in front of him and his comrades who are around him. Comradeship makes a man feel warm and courageous when all his instincts tend to make him cold and afraid. Commander must understand that bottled up in men are great emotional forces which have to be given an outlet in a way which is positive and constructive, and which warms the heart and excites the imagination. In modern times, if the approach to the human problem is cold and impersonal, a commander will achieve little. But if he can gain the trust and confidence of his men, and they feel their best interests are safe in his hands, then he has in his possession a priceless asset and the greatest achievements become possible. This is vital because in the end a battle is won by the fighting spirit of the junior officers and men, whatever the quality of the higher commanders. I say in modern times because it was not always so. Generals are meant to win battles, and the good general of today will do so with the least possible loss of life. Throughout the Middle Ages in the Western world, the manpower of a nation was considered of small account. The serf was expendable in battle. Then came the series of epidemics in Europe in the 14th century known as the Black Death. Manpower was scarce, the economic value of the serf increased, and his life had to be safeguarded. He was less expendable. In modern times, when a nation goes to war, the ranks of its armed forces are filled with men from civil life who are not soldiers, sailors, or airmen by profession, and who never wanted to be. Such men are very different from the serf or the mercenary of bygone days. They are educated, they can think, they can appreciate, and they are prepared to criticize. They want to know what is going on and what the general wants them to do and why and when. They also want to know that in the doing of it, their best interests will absolutely secure in the general's hands. They want to know what is going on and what the general wants them to do and why and when. They also want to know that in the doing of it, their best interest will be absolutely secure in the general's hands. And of course, they want to see him and decide in their own minds what sort of person he is. If all these things are understood, morale will be high. We've got 3 paragraphs in another sentence, and the obvious implication here is that my interest and my hands are not secure. Why is Silicon Valley abusing the fact that I was defrauded of my pension benefits in California in order to try to extort me into laundering money for public transportation systems, not just in California, by the way. We're talking California, we're talking Texas, we're talking Illinois, we're talking the Ohio Turnpike. Your refusal, California, categorically to respond to anything in the last 5 years has put this nation in danger. It may well be a very important causal factor in a global biological warfare campaign that nobody is talking about honestly. You don't look so tough to me today. You look scared. And the problem is you can't afford to be scared. You've been playing this game for far too long. You need to come clean about the use of directed energy weapons and what was going on since 2017. You need to come clean about what you actually did in response to that public comment provided to the water board in San Diego. You know exactly what I'm talking about because you've been back in spying on me for years. It's my software operating license. Get off my back end. If you wanted to have anything close to a collegial relationship with me, you would have done it when I was your colleague.